is there still a battle between science, as far as the medical field goes? Are y'all still battling it out, or have y'all come together yet? Like, how's that going?
It sounds like you've been doing some reading on
Yeah.
the history of osteopathic medicine. So yes, there had been in the past a lot more rivalry between MDs and DOs. I would say now that there's much more research that's been done in terms of how does osteopathic manipulation work, who does it work for, which conditions is it good for, what's actually going on, do people get long-term benefit or is it just short-term? I can tell you after having read tons and tons of research on different diagnoses and different patient populations that osteopathic medicine does work. I can break that down for any specific condition. There are usually randomized controlled trials and lots of different science behind the manipulations that we do that does show both safety and efficacy. So it's safe to get the treatment. You're not going to cause more harm necessarily if you do it properly,
Yeah.
and you'll get benefit, short term, long term, everything in between.
Right.
So yes, I do get referrals from the physicians, whether they're MDs or DOs, who are familiar with that kind of research. They say, yes, I want to prescribe the best kind of treatments for my patients. And they may or may not know about the research that's been done about osteopathic medicine. And so part of my job is to also help to disseminate some of that information. So maybe some of your listeners are physicians themselves or in the healthcare field. Now they may know a little bit more about osteopathic practice and how it is science-based for several different conditions.
I just hope that, when people come in to their family doctor and they say, doc, I want to relieve this pain, but I don't want to be dependent on the medicines that you might have prescribed to others in the past that I've heard such bad things about. And I'd like an alternative. And then they talk about what you offer, or they actually get them, instead of over prescribing and over diagnosing things that equal people on more medicine. I think, bringing you in the mix is just a wise move for the greater public health if you can solve their problems, I
think you used great words there. In the mix is exactly what I'd like to be. And so I would call myself complementary rather than alternative. I would say that anyone can still take all of the medicines that they would like. They can do any kind of therapy that they're looking for and still do osteopathic therapy at the same time.
Yeah.
It could be that their kind of problem is going to benefit most from a multi-pronged approach, which is my strategy anyway. And in fact, if someone comes to me, maybe, they haven't tried certain medicines, which I think are going to help them. I'm okay with prescribing medicines too, if I think that it's going to get them over a hump, if it's going to improve their healing process. I am totally for it for short term.
Hey, I am a pain wimp. If I can get past a short term spike in pain and know that working through the treatment that I'm coming to you for, and I'm going to be able to ease the, kind of numb that pain or ease off that spike in pain for the short term, knowing that I've got these long term solutions that I'm working on. I certainly want you to do that. I certainly would want you to keep me comfortable while we're working through this thing. So that's very interesting to me because, I've gotten some friends in the field, and I know, just being observant in my life that, there at one point there was a complete battle of this type of medicine being like, taboo almost, so like, I'm glad that it's coming. I'm glad that we're able to, help people with alternatives to the normal prescribing of, all these pharmaceuticals that are going out that we hear about that are kind of wrecking people's lives in some ways sometimes. So
especially in Southwest Virginia, there's a big problem with opiates for sure. People are addicted to them, and they unfortunately haven't had other types of treatments, right?
Yeah.
It's I think a consequence of physicians not knowing that there are other types of treatments other than prescription medicines. And so, yes, I would say that, if you go to your primary care doctor, there's a good chance that they may not know about osteopathic treatments. And so it would be up to that patient individually to say, hey, do you know of any osteopathic doctors that I might be able to go to as an alternative? or complement.
Speaking of, the New River Valley and my major affection of it, I want to know why you decided to start your practice in Blacksburg. What, I know you went to school, you finished your school here, right? You could have went anywhere in the country to do your service, and you probably could be making a little bit more money in higher population areas. So I love these stories, and I'm excited to hear your answer, but I want to know why you decided that Blacksburg was the place for you.
I would say the community was super welcoming. That was probably the number one thing. I felt accepted. I felt like I wasn't, I was just given the resources that I needed to do what I needed to do. So, for example, with the Chamber of Commerce here in Montgomery County, they really had a bunch of mentors who helped to make establishing the business relatively easy. My neighbors, for example, where I live in Blacksburg, have been super supportive. The community itself, when I have had patients, they're very helpful in terms of getting the word out and telling all the people that they know. The word of mouth has been a huge referral source for me.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I would say it's the environment. I love the 4 seasons that we have, the outdoors, the nature, the hiking, the wildlife. All of that really drew me in compared to where I grew up in New Jersey and New York. It's way different in terms of traffic and parking. And so I decided to settle into a more peaceful area where I felt welcomed.
So you like the pace, you like the community, you like the opportunity that I don't think this area has a lot of what you're providing. So, as an entrepreneur, you might have seen also opportunity to get into a space and be maybe one of the first ones to the space, right? Like, do you see a lot of competition around you in your field right now, in your business?
There are, so I am specifically an out-of-network physician. That means that I don't participate with the insurance companies because I want to spend more time with my patients.
Yeah.
And if I was part of the insurance model, then I would be able to spend no more than 30 minutes with a patient at most. And even then, it would be a real challenge, both for me and for the patient, to make that work.
Yeah.
Because I think that healing takes time. Right?
Yeah.
I can't force a body to heal. I'm not the healer. I am just a medium that helps the patient to understand what it is about their body that's going wrong and what kinds of stimulation it needs or what kinds of influences the body needs to heal itself. And that is just foreign to the insurance company. So I decided to separate myself from the insurance companies, and it allows the patients to still use their insurance as out-of-network benefits. So my patients still do get some reimbursement or at least application towards their deductible. And so there are other doctors who are doing that. They're doing osteopathic manipulation within the insurance model. Those are in Blacksburg as well. And so my model is slightly different as an out-of-network doc. And so I wouldn't see it as direct competition. I would say that, it's my services are for a different type of population, people that are really interested in spending the time to understand what's going on, hitting it hard early on, getting the visits in back to back, with usually once a week for 3 weeks, and making that long-term progress. Plus, I have more availability in terms of cell phone, email, and other contact methods that it's really hard to do when you're still within the insurance model. And so that's why I would say I'm not exactly in competition with other folks who are in Blacksburg. There are other folks who are in Roanoke. There's at least one doctor who I know who's doing osteopathic treatments out there. But I don't know if she's still taking new patients.
Right. So you're pretty much just shining things up, bringing them back to their old glory.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And like the examples I've seen of your work, you are definitely doing that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Like I was really impressed with some of the things that you were able to accomplish,
Yes.
the before and afters.
Yeah.
So, so you say you've done some handyman services, some junk removal. Tell us like a war story. Give us some war stories of like I know that this junk removal thing
Yeah.
could be like, oh my gosh, like Wow.
It is.
So give me a war story.
It is. I could probably write a book about some of the things that I've seen. We'll keep it PG right now. But besides like, dead animals and like needles and stuff like that, probably one of the worst things I experienced was this house. And it was a nice house. It was just a couple things that needed to be removed. And there was a refrigerator in there. And it was a nice fridge. And they were like, we need that cleaned out too. And I go to open the fridge. I didn't realize that the house was abandoned and the electricity's been turned off for 6 months. And go to open that fridge, and there was the stench did not subside. I had to leave there for about an hour. It was maggots and bugs, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So we just hauled that fridge off. I just told them,
this is a losing battle.
Let's go ahead and take this away.
Right. So in those moments, like, what do you got to charge? Like, what do you got to, like, when you see this task, like, how do you formulate, like, what you got to charge somebody?
Well, I definitely try to be fair. I know there's a bunch of people that, that can remove stuff. So you try to be fair, try to be professional. You just try to make it worth your time and let them know. And in most cases, you are pretty much the last resort with like the junk removal and stuff like that. That's what I've learned, that you are like, their last hope pretty much. So,
yeah.
But
I think we're a little bit similar because, like you said, there's plenty of people that will remove your junk.
Yes.
And there's plenty of people that can offer you real estate service. But it's like, we're offering the same thing that a lot of other people are, and our prices can be completely different.
Yes.
Because of like our expertise, our willingness to work hard, our willingness to do the job.
Yes.
Expertly, like top level professionally.
Yes.
So like I think we we probably demand a fee. For me, I think I'm demanding a fee that I feel like is fair versus someone else that, is willing to work for that discount, that just wants the job, that's just so desperate to handle this task that they're willing to just give away their time and really give away their money to not get paid properly.
Yes.
So like I always encourage people, like if you offer a good service, like this is you're hiring us for the white glove service. Yep. Even though you're in junk, like you're still giving them the white glove service of the junk, right?
Yes.
Of the junk removal.
Yes.
And like the speed and the care and like the way that you leave things is crucial.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure from the examples I've seen of your work, I feel like you do that.
Yes. Well, and then like with refrigerators, some junk you can't just throw away. And especially if you're like a company doing this stuff, you can't just throw away paint. You can't just throw away something free on it.
You have to know where it goes.
You have to know where it goes. That takes time to go out there and do it. And a lot of the times, people will be like, oh, it doesn't take that long or whatever. But, you still have to haul it somewhere. You still have to recycle it properly. You can't just throw it somewhere. Or, I mean, that's not what we do anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so like people don't get it. People have a real hard time distinguishing between the ones that are available, right? And I feel like we have pride in the work we do. Mm-hmm. We are professionals in the work that we do. Like that's what we strive to be anyway. Like their judgment of us can be whatever it is. Yeah. But deep down in our soul, we know that we provide something that's higher level than you can achieve yourself.
Yes.
And we display that in our work. Like anybody can cut hair, but you go to a hairstylist if you want top-notch quality looks.
That's correct.
So the same thing applies to me and you, that if you want our service, like we're willing to get into trenches. We're willing to get in the trenches, and we know how to get out.
Yes.
Type thing. So I like finding common ground. I feel like that's where our common ground is.
Yeah.
Is like there's plenty of people that do the things that we do, but are they going to be us doing them?
Exactly. I can't tell you how many people I've came across, like homeowners, I mean, just anybody, and I've got called over to their place for whatever reason, and they have just said, you are the first person that actually has shown up.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of that out there, a lot.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just show up. That's what you have to do just most of the time, is just show up.
Yep. Honestly, one of my good friends 3 or 4 years ago said that if there was anybody in these fields that you're in, the handyman, the junk removal, like just this trade, this trade that just showed up on time, did what they said they were going to do, and said please and thank you, they would dominate.
That's all you have to do. I've had so many customers too that actually have given me tips just because they're like, you've talked to us, and like, because a lot of people after they're done with the job, they just want to leave, go on to the next job, but it's that extra personal touch.
Yeah.
I'm not just looking to take your money and leave. It's a service, and I just want to be treated like how I'd want to be treated too.
And it's a long-term relationship.
It is.
So honestly, like where I come in the mix is I feel like you have access to me. If you're a current, past, or future client of mine, I want to give you full access to me at pretty much all times. And like if you need something, I'm gonna be punching the clock for you. If you call me, I'm punching the clock.
Yeah.
And when you actually need me, if you need me to show up and walk in the door, then I would like to get paid for all that time that I've spent with you along the way.
Yeah.
And like I said, for you, how that relates to you is like you're putting your name out there to be known.
Yeah.
And when they call you, like, when they call you, like, to show up in that moment, like that relationship that you've developed with them should equal a payday.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go into like that social media thing.
Okay.
Tell me about where you are, what you're doing. Like I want this show to help you expand people's to expand your reach, to get people to know you more and to create that relationship.
Absolutely.
So let's just go into the business aspect, like where are you spending money to market yourself, what social media platforms you're on, and like what your strategy is.
So pretty much when I first started, it was just the business cards, and I would put those up over at like Kroger, and I would get like a list of all the realtors in the area and mail all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So it was very basic at the beginning, just business cards. This past winter, though, I've been working on making a website. I got the website up, been working on Google with SEO and stuff like that, and get that. It's been more of like an organic rise. I'm kind of some of that stuff like ad clicks and stuff. I'm kind of hesitant about right now.
Yeah.
I was on Home Advisor for a while, and that was kind of a joke. They would charge you for like leads that weren't real, and there was a big like lawsuit about that. But so I got off there. But
yeah.
Pretty much Google was the big goal this past winter. Yelp, I've been on there for a while. Facebook, of course. Instagram.
Have you spent any money on Facebook?
No.
Yeah.
No, the only reason I have is because I used to play in bands back in the day, and we used to like put money towards that, and we discovered, I don't know if it's like this anymore because that was a long time ago, but it was a bunch of like fake like bots that it was going to and stuff. So I haven't spent any money on that.
Yeah.
But that's one of my strategies this year, is really focus on the marketing aspect of stuff, because I pretty much have about everything else, down. Of course, you're always still learning and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've said it before on my page. I've said there's a quote that, attention will get you in the door and talent will keep you in the room.
Yes.
So you got to have both.
Yeah.
You got to have both. And marketing and brand is very important.
Yes.
Like you can pay somebody for actionable leads, but that gets expensive.
Yes.
Branding, all this marketing actually really gets expensive. So you try to track and measure as good as possible, but attention at all cost.
Yes.
And that's kind of one of the things that we believe in too, is like we're trying to do things that we feel like people are going to be entertained by or informed by. Mm-hmm. And then that maybe we can turn that into a transaction down the road.
I met with Universal in 2007.
Yeah.
in Atlanta, and the guy flat out was like, you know, you got something, but my quality wasn't there. Wasn't there. He's like, you got talent, but it's not. You gotta keep molding this thing.
Yeah.
You gotta keep molding, because once you can get it crisp, then you might have a shot.
When was this? What year was this?
That was 2007.
Gotcha.
And so that was like my first kind of roadblock. It knocked me down a little bit. Well, it was good. You got to get humbled, right?
Yeah.
So I got humbled, but then I lost focus, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I came out of college, then came back to Virginia at the time, and then I lost touch with music until 2010.
Right.
So that was a roadblock. That's probably another struggle that I've seen. And I tell other artists, you know, once you get your mindset, go ahead and keep going, because if you lose focus, you lose traction, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Music, because it's too many people that do it. It's too many people that is in this thing.
Feels like if you're not taking a step forward, then you're going to be just going back.
Yeah. Or you got to find another way to get in the game, especially artist-wise. And that's what I honestly felt that way. I was like, artist thing might be, you know, that might be done, maybe approach it from another way. So that's really how the all day, every day came up, because I was like, well, okay, there's other people there was younger people that was coming up that have talent in this area.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe if they would want to work with me, if they feel like I'm somebody they want to work with, then they could come to the lab and let's put something together. And I had a lot of talented guys from this area come through. I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Like I told you, over 200 songs, over 15 artists.
Yeah.
From here.
That's a lot of work. I mean, that's a lot of work. You know, we need that word to spread further than just the New River Valley, though, too. Like,
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'd like that. I've worked with some guys out of Roanoke City, which is another place that's like a hotbed for musicians that are underappreciated.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people from here to Roanoke City that have major talent.
Yeah.
And I think it would be nice if some people, you know, as we work together, you know, sometimes you can't really get everybody together because everybody don't have the same agenda.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
You're going to have that. But if you can find a few like minds together, some people have been able to get up out of here and really do some good things.
Yeah. And the disappointing thing for me is that's the narrative of the story is you got to leave this area to be able to achieve your goals in the entertainment world, specific to music, to specific to theater, specific to any of that. You know, what I would love to do is create the formula that would allow you to understand how to do it and not have to uproot your family and move to LA or Philadelphia or Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, like that's my goal within like your knowledge and my drive and like my advertising and like I know where the attention is type thing.
Yeah.
Like the way I wanted to influence you, and I think I have this past week, is like we're talking about, you know, how are you going to get your word out? How are you going to get a following?
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to actually achieve some fame? Because it's actually a requirement.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually a requirement for people to know who Jason Diggs is for at a large scale to actually get somebody to use your producing talents to create the music that's going to get to the world.
Yeah.
Right. So even you as an artist.
Uh-oh, that's me.
No problem. Hey, even you as an artist, if you are in your day-to-day job and you've got the phone up, you know, because you can't drive, you got to be hands-free, right?
Yeah.
But you cut the video on and you got your music playing and you sing your own music and then you post it to TikTok, you know, like a minute clip of you singing or rapping Glass Ceilings, and you post that to TikTok and you start getting following there, that'll drive them to YouTube, that'll drive them to the other platforms, to Spotify. That's going to help. Like these strategies is what everybody needs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, like for anybody not in the arenas of attention, wanting to do what you do, I just want to influence you to take action and do those things.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think that's the next level for you.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I've got this studio, I'm doing this thing. I want you to find a way to take advantage of that, you know? So if you come in here once a month and you got somebody you want to talk to, like I'm talking to you, you know, I'd have to talk to these guys, but maybe I'm behind there running the show,
Right.
and let you have a platform to further get your word out into the world and put people in the right places that you want them, because it's all an attention game.
It's definitely a formula to it. It's definitely a formula. If you listen to any of the guys who are industry leaders right now, that's why I was laughing when you told me TikTok. TikTok's came up multiple times, and it's just because the quickness of it. The streams happen so fast. Just the attention happens so fast on TikTok, especially if something sticks.
The reach is so free though.
Yeah.
Like, there's no social media platform that will get you the organic reach without paying for it.
Right.
It's the new frontier of getting people that would have never known who you were.
That's right.
To actually get to know you.
Yeah, that's different.
So,
that changes the game. That's different from like
and
SoundCloud and things of that nature.
Me and you both know that talent is not the only determination of success.
No, not at all.
So the person that gets the most attention, that also shows up with the most skill, is going to win the majority of the time.
Absolutely.
But if you only get attention, you can still win.
That's right.
More so than, in this genre, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but it feels like to me that the more attention you get as an artist, the more opportunities you would get.
Well, see, and that's been my struggle a lot, because I didn't never want to seem gimmicky.
Yeah.
You
can't be ashamed of people loving you and like wanting more of you, and the goal is for people to want your perspective. You're putting the perspective out in the world, but if nobody's hearing it, you got to get people to hear it.
Yeah.
It's valuable.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that I'm proud of you and it's valuable. So like, let's go do this thing and like blow you up, because the world needs to know what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's probably been the biggest. I had after Bird, I left. So the album that I put out, Live, Love, Lust, was in 2015.
Yeah. That was the album release party you had in Roanoke, right?
Yeah. So I put some effort into that particular situation. Shout out to Crystal Hubbard, because that was my manager at that time, and she showed me a different way of really attacking it, and really she kept my foot on the gas with that project.
Yeah, she's a nice lady.
Had it not been for her, I probably would have drugged my feet.
Yeah.
Along, because I have, if there's a struggle, I will drag my feet on some music, because I guess as a musician, sometimes you get self-conscious. You may not think that it's all the way right. You may not think that it's all the way together.
Yeah.
And I've talked to many musicians who feel the same way, especially when they are doing their own craft, like it's just them. Yeah. Mostly. Yeah.
So you got the beat, and you're a part of the whole production. There's nobody else involved, and you're going to be your worst critic.
Right. So you need somebody else to really, hey, it's good enough.
Yeah. Get
out of your head, and it's good enough. And so she did that, and she helped me really. It changed how I do production now. I don't ponder on it so much. I let it go. When it feels good, I go ahead and say, okay, it's done.
Right.
Now, this latest project, where Glass Ceilings is coming from, I call the project 1 out of 3. And so the perspective comes from, there's a statistic, and it probably fluctuates, but they were saying, 1 out of 3 African-American male experience, incarceration. And that's crazy. Right, 1 out of 3. That's crazy. You're talking about in the United States. That's a staggering fact.
Oh, that's I mean, I've heard it's 1 in 9, but even at 1 in 9, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, So there was some clips that I saw. Like I said, the number it may have changed.
Either way, it's way too many.
But I took my perspective.
Yeah.
Because even myself, as somebody who, I come from good home, good parents, still had struggles, still had a lot of misdemeanors that I had. I got I remember filling out job interviews, and I got a master's in business. I'm an educated black man.
Yeah.
I have a lot of credentials towards even the scholastic side and then the business side.
Yeah.
And I got to explain 3 misdemeanors from college.
Yeah.
Over 10 years ago. I got to explain it. And so it's some of the things that, I'm sure, I know I'm not the only person that got to explain it. But it's just my perspective of navigating through life in that way.